All right. So, as far as losing people in the system, I mean, the numbers you're turning, I imagine it's going to happen. Right. To a certain degree. I mean, you're probably doing great when you look at, you know, what's actually happening. Because again, anything you do wrong is going to be magnified, or anything that goes wrong will be magnified, or both. So just go take a look at your system and make sure that that it's moving right. That, the accountability is maintained. And again, you're not going to tell everybody that calls your answer unless you're allowed to do it. Again, even the detainee has a right to privacy, to a certain degree. So again, they'll say it's one, like what they call something isn't necessarily what it is. Correct. Their characterization isn't necessarily what it is. So you may not be telling them because you can't tell, right, or something. But just make sure you maintain accountability the best you can. As far as uh, deporting to a third nation, I'm not a big fan of that. But if you're trying to get them out of here, that's the only way to do it. Again, I think the key is that they want people to self deport. I don't know what the answer is for somebody. I mean, if the Democrats get back in, they're going to have a mass importation. Right. They're going to reverse everything Donald Trump did. In other words, if somebody's sitting overseas and they were deported by Donald Trump, they'll probably allow them back in. I mean, it's just well. The problem is, both sides need to realize that they need to work together and come towards the center a little bit, right, which I think Donald Trump is learning and what he's going to do. And, right. Right. Well, because you just can't. The nation can't sustain the back and forth. I don't know what Elon's doing. I don't even believe he's really doing it. I almost think it's a Robert Kennedy dupe, or Peter Thielson or whatever his name is. These are some of the people that actually were part of the system that destroyed my life. I don't. I believe law enforcement was taken over by Silicon Valley in the '90s, right, or by tech industry, right? Because they started getting arrested, so they decided to take over the tech, or the tech industry decided to take over law enforcement. Agreed. So they selected certain cops to be part of their BS. Right. Well, I'm actually the guy. If we see it as a bunch of lies, so I'm actually the guy that should have been, because I can fix everything, right, before it goes wrong. I can see what's happening, and then I can fix it, right, and tell you what to do to fix it. So the tech industry would have been able to get out of that, right? Okay. Well, there they are. Okay, with a snide voice with Satan power of diminishment in it, or anti-power, should I say? Okay, wait, I wanted to tell you something. I forgot what I was going to tell you. Oh, they just blocked me. I said the accountability thing. There was probably something else. Right. Well, I'll just tell you, you're showing these photos of oh, look, he's a father, he's a family, he's got a wife. Well, a lot of people like me, we're not getting. That's what the whole incel thing is a setup, because somebody's killing people's ability to date and marriage. And it could be the tech industry along with dirty cops, because that's what did it in my life. Right. So that photo there, that like pisses people off. I mean, it doesn't piss me off, but I can see into it. You're not winning people over with it. Right. No. Latinos are supremacists. They're probably a lot of it's closet supremacy, but that's one of they hide it under that we're being oppressed, therefore we can oppress. But I'll tell you that Latinos are racist. Right. Agree. So again, you're not really winning people over with that. Like, oh, he's got a kid in the family. Yeah, we have kids in the family too, and you all destroyed it. And then when I tried to re-enter life, you all killed it. We don't want that here. I mean, maybe some of the people that are deporting you are part of it, but we don't want, now they have to deport you. Before they were paying you, right? Same people, some of them. All right. And the leadership's in here, and they said, and if we can find the ones that were paying them, they'll be gone too, if they're still left. Right. Thank you, Larry. So again, the idea is that again they've already moved. The administration's already moved, and they're going to approve some farm workers and some hospitality workers. I guess what they're looking at is people that are entrenched in that system. There's a lot of what do I want to call it? Quality control. You have to do that program, and I told you about the loan program, the PPP programs, and all that. I said that like in March or something when we first started thinking of doing it, or May or something. I guess it was beginning of May. I think it was maybe in April. I said I have to look online, but I said you have to police that program. That they're going to try to scam that program, right? Even before it was started, I told you that was the deal, right? So the same thing with this. You have to really police that program. You got to make sure they're not selling citizenship or anything like that, or lying about something. Right. So you have to do all, and then you have to make sure they stay in. When they're in, to stay in, they have to maintain a certain life. But like I'm saying, there's people in Mexico that are oppressed. They can't get anywhere. Right. They come here and work. Now, some of the cases where somebody came over as a refugee, an honest refugee, like from Vietnam, right? That's kind of a scary case to be deporting. Right. Because they're not part of this fight, you know what I mean? Right. There's a whole different world. Right. And then the Vietnamese community fell pretty bad, right? I used to heal them, I think, or I did for a little while in Philadelphia. Thank you, Larry. Again, not all the agents are for every deportation, but if you're in, you're in. You can't. You'll be deciding what. Not. You can help an immigrant, but you can't do it for money. Right, like that one guy. I do corrupt things, right? But you can give them advice. Right. Advice has kind of changed these days, but now it's self-deport. Right. Thank you, Larry. Now, Republicans may pull off another election if they like Trump's trying to do the right thing at this point. Correct, Larry. Well, it made more sense not to deport them, but I thought you just trashed the program. But again, if you can't do that one, the next program is there's plenty of people to backfill that haven't come here yet.
working on farms throughout Central America. That's where those people probably learned. Right. Right. Thank you, Larry. But that's actually a little more difficult, because if these people have a history and they have a sponsor, employer, and they might be the people I was speaking about. Remember, I was telling you there's people that run those programs that are, they, as long as they haven't stepped over into racketeering, they provide clothing, housing, and house. It's kind of like almost like the Job Corps, I guess, right? Where it's set up like, I wouldn't say military, but they provide everything, and if you need something, you go to them when you get there, and they'll hook you up, and it comes out of your pay, right? So there's a whole system in the farms. So they're probably the bosses there. Right. Thank you, Larry. But based upon what we're seeing, there has to be some sort of contraction. Right. I agree. So Microsoft just laid off, and again, the big one is that a lot of these people that are leaving the federal government aren't leaving until September. So even though they're not working, what I would have did is staggered it. I don't know if you have a drop dead date or something. Maybe the end of the fiscal year. I don't know how you did it. Maybe that's how you did it. Right. Well, it'd been better to so that the economy could absorb it. Well, again, if you make jobs on the other side and they're interested in working, right, some of those government workers could just walk off into a retirement job, which is to be smart if they could. Again, if I had the deep state attacking me, that's probably what like say I stayed in and then I decided that's what I would have did. I would have spent the 8 months finding another job, even if it was like the Home Depot. Right. So the weird part is, if you know anything what happened to me, the deep state attacked me out of Home Depot. I use immigrants and all that stuff, right? Dirty cops, dirty PIs. So now Home Depot is like ground zero. Look, it's not me, it's Hashem. You should realize that, right? I told you, if it takes 1,000,000 years, Hashem will get you for what you did to me and everyone else that you did it to, including Rabbi Yeshua ben David and Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Akiva. Right. We were all part of the fall, actually. Like the fall wouldn't occur without you people, and the further fall wouldn't occur. Although you may have picture perfect life. What is this thing? Oh, is it a sloth? What is it?
Agarrou. Olha, tá, ele tá cansado, pô. Eu achei que ele não ia vencer. Você o cabo que pode ser. Ele tá cansado. Costa platíssimo. Nossa, lindo. Olha as peninhas pra se divertir ali, cara.
Maybe it is. Is it a sloth? Oh, it is a sloth.
Vamos lá, não deixa ele vir, porra. Mas olha o tipo, cara.
Was it a monkey?
Caramba, hein, Magrão? Que caramba que ganhou, hein? Agora vem aqui, seu pai.
Looks like a monkey. Monkey in the water. Well, they can't even assure the safety in the immigrant communities. Again, once this runs its course, they should be able to allow legal immigration at the level. In other words, they killed legal immigration. Right? because the jobs were being filled. Once the jobs aren't filled, they can start issuing work visas. And then, they can police those communities much better without all the criminal element. And then some might not be criminal, but again, they're not going to interfere. Like Americans, once upon a time, they would stop crime. Right? They wouldn't allow it in their communities, like we did at Casa de Bella, Warren Inn, with we did do that there with the meth dealer. We put the meth dealer out. Well, they eventually put him out, but we kept at it. Correct. Thanks, Larry. Again, if the guy was a quiet meth dealer, nobody would have said anything. But I mean, they're breaking in at night into the outer doors that are locked and all that, and then it's difficult for us to get in. They got to replace parts. The handles falling off, right? I mean, nobody would have known, but it's like, what's going on here? And then that's the person that broke the glass in my Mini Cooper. They came out, probably were trying to steal something, right? So they can get more meth. But the cop said he believed that what they did is they messed up the entry because they poke a hole in the window before they shatter it. And that way they catch it. Or simultaneously, I forget how he said they did it. But they catch the window so it doesn't fall. Right? It just spider webs. And then they pull it out slowly and quietly. But they said he believes they probably missed it and it fell in. That's why it was all shattered. Right? I even had tin on it. It shouldn't have, for all intents and purposes, it shouldn't have shattered. Right? Although some of it held together, a lot of it. And a cop could have pulled in too at that moment, or someone else, and they parked the tall. Like, I don't think they parked. There was only one parking spot left when I came in that night, and it was a big van next to me. Right? So nobody could see. Right? So it may have been a setup. I had some air compressor and something else in the back, so they were interested in that. Well, again, if you allow that lawlessness at that level, nobody feels like any law is a solid, and it's a gradual, slippery slope into lawlessness, and that's what was happening. I don't know. I'm back into cooking a little bit, back to my old diet, and I feel a lot better, which is generally just pretty much curry, tons of curry. Vegetarian curry. You're making butternut squash, peas, tofu in it. Now, I think there's something to eat in curry every day, right? Or at least Indian spices. Right? It's Ayurvedic. Ever since I started eating curry, I feel better. I'm not perfect, but my body's definitely returning to some more of its former form. Now, I did get the steroid shot, so again, I wish they had stayed away from me, but I can only do what I can do on this planet. Well, Hashem's been taking things out. You just have to understand that it's related to what's happening to me. And I mean, there's other people, but it is related to what's happening to me. Well, whatever Hashem says goes, right? Hashem is God. There's no another. But he does appear in other names. Hashem is Krishna. Hashem is Allah. It doesn't make sense to you, but it makes sense to Hashem, believe me. If you think about how you treat Hashem, it all makes sense. And how you should treat people like me that Hashem sends here, right? It all makes sense. Well, there was a whole system years ago where we used to try to pick up these other nations. We can't afford it. Spent so much freaking money on the BS here. And I don't know if it's true, but they're saying that woman made her business made $53 million. I got to see if it's real or fake. The woman that was the preacher that said something about asking Trump to take care of the immigrants. Something saying that her business made 53 million in 2023. It's an immigrant, some immigrant business. But it could just be, when you're on X, who knows what you're looking at. Now, there was an unholy alliance between dirty cops and the tech industry in the 90s, no doubt. Right. That's how John ended up dead. Now, the question is, did they conquest that person John was with? Is that part of it? Is there some maniac that killed people for that person? And who knows if that person ended up with them or not? Right. Now, before that person ended up there, the tech industry was already in as being part of the whole thing. Right. Yeah, but again, it's a different, respecting, looking for a better life. In other words, it's nothing personal for whoever is not. It's personal if you're committing some felony crimes, that's for sure. But it's not personal for somebody that has a removal order because the numbers are not where we can sustain. Again, the Pope, he doesn't know how to run government. Okay, he doesn't understand what an ICE officer knows, an HSI officer knows, a marshal knows, that because of these numbers, we can't police these communities. Because they're bringing up in honor of, they say, here's a video of Marco Rubio crying when Pope Francis called on Americans to respect the dignity of immigrants seeking a better life in the United States. No problem, but there is a limit. Well, because you can't even protect the immigrant. You understand what's going on? What you're one is, it's like apples and oranges. Right. It's just one, it's not the same thing. So to respect the dignity of those seeking a better way, we reestablish our immigration system, a lawful immigration system that actually protects them and doesn't allow all of the other things, where they're put in they're enslaved, where they're killed, where they're raped, where they're murdered. Right. I mean, it's the age-old story. They're coming over here and they're recreating that mess because they couldn't get in control, in control of the country that they came from. They couldn't be that oppressive entity. But here, it's a little easier for them. Down there, they're getting taken out back and shot. Correct. So they flee. Well, I don't know if Abrego Garcia is who you say he is. Again, I'm not going to tell you that I believe everything the administration says. Right. He made too many deals to get it forward. That makes it look kind of fishy. Again, I can never go back to who I was in 2003, where I believed the government, or even maybe a little sooner, because I started doubting around 9/11. It wasn't about 9/11, but right. I always thought there was somebody I could take the case to once I figured it all out, or figured out enough, but there never was. That corruption was entrenched. Correct. Thank you, Larry. Well, essentially, I'm with Hashem, and this isn't Hashem's planet. I know a lot of Jews believe Hashem's rewarding them for being a good Jew, but it's a remote control generally. That the Jewish system will reward you for being a good Jew, whether you're an evil person or not. Right. They micromanage the demonic activity against my life. I mean, every day, 24/7. So nothing could happen. So, but based upon what they did, I knew that they did it to other people because they wouldn't keep going. Right. Got pest control coming in soon. A couple of days, 2 days. I'm waiting for these other oil lamps to come in. Take a look. I don't think I'll be giving them away. It feels like Hashem doesn't want that for whatever reason. I don't know what it is, but it sounds like something's going on somewhere. That's somebody saying, "Geez." All right, so there's Marco Rubio crying. Well, it's just if you're establishing, I think it's where the Supreme Court is with the administration. That again, the same thing that I'm saying. They may be receiving my vibrations. Well, if you're honestly going to if you're going to reestablish the immigration system, the lawful one, it's a noble cause. Right. So the idea is that it's not a protected life for what's going in. They call everybody into work. Hey, look! They called everybody to work at Alligator Alcatraz. All hands on deck. But it's not a protected life. And again, it even it helped ruin many years of my life. Right. Now, it takes corrupt government people, but, they're finding some here or there at least. Correct. Yeah, when it comes to abortion, again, pray for it, and that's really where it is. If you see any physical movement where it works, it's the prayer that works, not the law. You can't save a life with the law. Right. I mean, prayers including healing. You say, heal. You can just do that. The Lord knows what you want. So Jesus set the stage. Rabbi Yeshua ben David said, you don't have to pray too long because Hashem knows what you want. And that's where the term healed came from. Now, when I first saw that, I was like, nah. And then within a week, I was beginning to learn healing. So I was like, oh, G.D. Jakes is a fake. Nah, people can't. I remember going to Jim Spicer. Hey, this guy on television, he says he can heal people. And like within a week, it started reversing. And that's like what I said to the counselor. It could be a whammy that they uttered, and Hashem may have led him into it, that it actually reverses everything, So, they did something weird in my life where it reverses a lot of stuff. But, I said to the guy, I was like, I'm not a mind reader. How do I know? And all of a sudden, I had this ability like a psychic. And I think that's what, started scaring them. Right. But all you do is let my life, whoever told you that, the worst thing you could do is let my life exist, well, ideas. Right. That's all you had to do. Just let me be. And I wouldn't even thinking about it. I mean, it worked. What they did to me in the Marshal Service and while I was trying to exit and all that and attack my life, it worked. My brain just blocked everything. No politics, no this, no that. I went to California. I was going to do yoga. They got involved there, and that was it. Right. There's nothing else. Hashem had me moving a different. Actually, I still wasn't back in writing, and I wasn't doing any political speaking or anything. Even when I got to South Beach, but after South Beach, that was pretty much it. I guess Naples even in the beginning, but after a little while, I wrote them. I said, look, the officers are working real hard to fight this Al Qaeda, this terrorism. You got to make sure the work environment is conducive to that. I didn't point fingers. I didn't name names. I just said, hey, make sure the work environment is a good place to be so they can fight that fight. Right. And I don't know if Mel Martinez started investigating that or not. But remember Mel Martinez? I feel guilty sometimes because Mel Martinez, every he stepped down, right? He may have been looking into what I was saying. I don't know for sure. Right. No, I was a big part of Florida. They killed me. I don't know. I guess money, they're corrupt. Right. I was healing Florida. I was taking care of Florida. Right. I healed a lot in Miami, boy. And I did a lot in Naples too. But I was doing a lot of healing in Miami when I was in Miami. I healed a lot of people at that was it Lincoln Boulevard or whatever, or Lincoln, wherever the shops are where you walk through and it looks like a road, but it's not a road, it's closed off. Right. I healed a lot of people there. That was a workout to do it because I would move my hands like I was doing like martial arts while I was walking, and some sort of thing like that, like Tai Chi or something. But I was actually moving healing hands, like Hashem had taught me. It took a lot for them to make me fail again. I mean, they just kept doing it. I finally figured out how to stay healthy, but there was no way to get to it. Again, they spent a lot of money doing it. There's no doubt. Committed, countless felonies. Correct. Well, you're a multimillionaire there, Fetterman. You got a good life, so I mean, of course, you're going to be thankful. Right. Let's see where we are here. No, I don't see anything specific on like a lone wolf or anything. I do, but I don't. But what I see is a possibility. I don't see that something's going to happen, but it could. Right? I don't have. Okay, so I didn't say that right. I don't have any psychic surety that a lone wolf event is is imminent, but I do have psychic surety that there's will for it to occur, and where there's a will, there's a way. Yeah, metaphysically, that works also. When you say there's a will, there's a way. That's how the way exists. They will it. They will it up, just like they will up, all the weird stuff I talk about in my life. Cops are walking around willing up what they're saying shouldn't exist. And then what they say I'm capable of doing or something I've done that I haven't done, they try to will that into the life. And then also psychologically, well, this is like crazy. The Troa of Judaism. Well, but it's a counterbalance to the other side that goes the other way too far. It was like Eric Adams. Yeah, well. I'd say you're not a Christian if you approve of the deportation and the incarceration, but again, they violated a bunch of laws there, right? Kramer. You're a multimillionaire, Kramer. You don't matter in God's eyes. I'm telling you that. Because you're all evil. You have to step outside the box, and that's what I did. That's why it all happened. But I believe I can't step outside the box without Hashem. So I'm not sure in the final analysis, are any of us doing anything? And it doesn't mean that it's predestination. It just means there's no greatness capable without God. And I mean true greatness. And there's Satan's deceptive greatness. They're all stressed out. I was drugged, there's no doubt. But once they drug me, it takes a while for me to heal of it. Right. You gotta make sure. Hey, Donald, you're not taking that with you when you leave. You go into the White House and it's replaced with something else. What do you got there, Trump? No, you're not taking that. A little memento. Replace it with a picture of Trump. I open the curtains and there's Trump staring at them. Thank you, Larry. No, I think Trump is figuring he has to move in the other direction a little bit. Right. Or they can't eat till the turtle gets to its food. Yeah. That's a funny thing. Well, I'm a pilgrim here. I'm not, I believe in the United States. Obviously, I fought a war for the United States. I was a Cold War mind, I'm sure, and have been since. But I'm a pilgrim here. I'm from another place. Right. From another planet. Actually, another complete existence. So what they do is they do their stuff and they say, well, it's not us, it's God. It's like, P.S., you're doing it. So they do call themselves God, really, indirectly, I guess, in a certain way, but they do call themselves God. Bunch of weirdos. We got a lot of junk on. You have to heal Vance. He's got junk on him because he's talking on his video. I don't even know what he's saying. And I hate him. Hey, look, the name Moore's in there. You ever notice that? Rush Moore. I think I was supposed to be in college.
Of our country, and we in the Trump administration.
I'm the most intelligent person that never got a degree. You know that, right? Right. That probably ever been on the planet without a degree. Right. All God taught. They just attacked me for telling you that. That Kirsten Vance. That guy looks horrible. Yuck! That's why they're supposed to pay me. For all the good I did, they took everything. Right. No, you're not paying me with that piddly retirement. Even what happened in Marshal Service is worth millions more instantly. Right. During and after I left. A bunch of weirdos. Decades of work, of psychological work, just to get me to even say anything negative, right? Thanks, Barry. Well, if you keep the deportees moving through that system in Florida, it shouldn't be that much of a trouble, even with the judges. Because again, if they stay there for a couple months at the most versus 6 months to a year, the judges will definitely realize the difference in requiring certain programs.